Getting a chip implanted into my brain. There's a study happening in LA, and I'm going over there to get this chip implanted in my brain so that I can pay my rent. They're gonna compensate me heavily for my participation and all the data that they retrieve. So you're basically talking to a future robot. I'm so excited! So I have a chip implanted into my brain so I can pay my rent in LA. Yes, there are adverse side effects from getting this surgery. I was already tender-headed. Now I'm super tender-headed. I have to work out like 4 times a week and I hate it. I scrub the back of my head sometimes. There's an electrical current. I'd feel a mild shock at the base of my neck. Itchy. This is okay. I was already told that that would happen. It also affects my speech patterns. Watch. So I have a...
All right, shalom, shalom. I like to start off first and foremost by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to our elders and the apostles, the great millstone, who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to those that do this work in truth and in sincerity. This is your brother Nathaniel from the GMS Camp Atlanta, coming back to the Spirit with another lesson, and I pray and hope this lesson is edifying. Now, you saw here in the intro, this woman is claiming that she got a brain chip to pay her rent. And, you know, there's some speculation of whether or not it's true, but I tend to lean toward that it is true, okay? And the reason being is, as I looked into it, you know, and I'm going to bring it out into here in just a second, they pay people to do studies, okay, to see how certain things will affect them, right? And when you're in a position, right, where, you know, things are ridiculously high and things are expensive, and you got this billion-dollar company coming to you to pay you, right, to be able to study you, and you can't afford your rent, you can't afford food, you can't afford those things that are essential to the body. Those people who don't know what it is that they're doing, who are not in the spirit, who the Lord didn't choose, who are the wicked, they're going to lean toward this. All right, it's very simple. All right, so I'm gonna start off with Habakkuk, the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. All right, and I'm gonna go to verse 6. It says, "Shall not all of these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his, how long? And to him that laden himself with thick clay." And that thick clay goes into the word abadia, okay, which means heavy debts. All right. So when you go here into the interlinear and you look at the word thick clay, you get the word abatia, okay? I was going to say aptit, but it's abatia, all right?
Strong's H, 5671, avtit.
All right, and it says weight of pledges, heavy debts, right? Now, when you take these weight of pledges and heavy debts in a country, and you cause the debts to reflect upon the people, you impoverish the people, okay? You, in fact, create debt slaves, all right? And, you know, the scriptures talk about how the borrower is servant to the lender, all right? And when you open up your wallet, each Federal Reserve note is a loan, okay? It is not physical money. It says payable for all debts, public and private. That's what it says on your dollar bill. Now, what's happening is through a system of quantitative easing, which is the printing of money, and other countries now selling off U.S. bonds. Because if anybody understands how the money system works, what happens is that the other countries out there, they have to buy dollars in order to purchase oil, okay? And that influx of dollars, that extra dollar that they may have in their economy, the U.S. government borrows that money back from them in what they call with 10-year yields. So they're bonds that they borrow back with 10 to 30-year yields of interest. And then that money is paid back to those countries in interest. Hence, propping up the dollar as the world reserve currency, giving it an unprecedented value amongst all of the other currencies. Okay? Now, what's happening is, or what has happened, a lot of countries are no longer using the dollar, or they're coming out of the petrodollar, and they're selling their bonds. Okay? So the dollar is being devalued in such a way that's causing all of the prices of everything to spike. And with this tension, these things that's happening over in Iran, it's also causing we're beginning to enter into a hyperinflationary period. Now, all that comes through the way of heavy debts. Okay. Now, when you have people who, you're working every day and you're expending your time, but the labor that you spend is not adding up to what you need to survive, well, there's a disparity there. And the system is going to offer people a way out. Now, I'm going to go here and I'm just going to type into Google, do people get paid to per whatever. All right. So of course, there's some typos in there, but it's okay because AI knew what I meant. It says, yes, people often get paid to participate in research studies, clinical trials, and focus groups with compensation range from $550 to $500 per year, per day, to thousands of dollars for long-term high-risk medical trials. Now, wouldn't you consider a brain implant a medical trial? Payments is typically offered for time, travel, and inconvenience, with higher pay for more in-depth or invasive studies. Now, when you consider a brain implant to be an invasive study, right? Because you are cutting into someone's flesh and putting some outside external thing inside of their brain, okay? So you put that thing inside their brain, okay? And you have to monitor how the people are going to respond. Now, is she the first? No. Because when you go to stupid. Come on, man. We'll just do it this way. Still don't want to do it, huh? Okay. Okay, let's do it like this then. All right, so when you go to the Neuralink website, right? It says pioneer of the future, brain technology, explore Neuralink. It says join the patient registry. Okay, control your device with your mind. Active trial, investigative control of computer robotic arms for people with quadriplegic spinal cord injuries. Communication with your thoughts, active trials. See without your eyes, upcoming trial, learn more. And then, okay, you can join the registry, right? And then you put in your email address, and Neuralink is going to send you an email allowing you to join the trial. All right. So I don't know exactly which trial she is a part of. However, she's definitely a part of some type of trial. Okay, because she said it in the very first video. She's becoming involved in a study. Okay, and as I just brought out, You know, if the study requires for you just to, she says something very peculiar. She says she has to work out 4 times a week. Well, if you have to work out 4 times a week and that's the condition of the study, they're trying to monitor how your body how the Neuralink responds to high intensity activity. Okay, running, jumping, you know, all these different types of things. How does it respond to that? So they can have an idea, right? So, you know, this is a real deal. All right. Now, we're going to go to Revelation, the 6th chapter, because it's important to understand what these debts, in addition to other things, are going to bring. Okay. These debts bring hyperinflation. All right. This is verse 6. Or verse 5, it says, "And I heard, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And behold, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand." Okay, this black horse represents famine. Okay, and it says, "And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts saying, A measure of wheat for a penny, and a measure and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that thou not hurt see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." All right, so you see that. And when you go back into the Roman Empire, the denarius or however you pronounce it, right? For the Roman soldiers were paid a day's, and we can just Google that real quick. How much? I didn't put woman, I put Roman, but okay. Let's do it. Okay, so during the early Roman Empire, the 1st century, the standard Roman legionary was paid roughly between 0.6 to 0.8 denarii per day. This amounts to an annual salary of 225 denarii, which later increased to 300 denarii. Okay, so between the time that it was issued to the time that, and I remember the calendar was different back then. The calendar was changed, and he added more days onto the calendar. I think I'm not 100% sure. You can fact check me, but I think it was 355 days at that time. Okay, and then I believe I can't remember which emperor changed it to 365 days. Okay, but let's just look that up. All right, so I say, okay, so the calendar was officially restructured to a 365 year calendar, the Julian calendar, in 446 BC by Julius Caesar, assigned by astronomer Sosigenes. It replaced the Catholic lunar calendar with a solar-based system to include regular leap years every 4 years. Okay. And how many days was it before the change? Just seeing what it says. But I believe it was 355 days. I'm not 100% certain. Let's just ask it. Let's be more specific with the question. Okay, yeah, see, 355 days. So I was right. All right, so 355 days. So roughly from the time that point 0.6 to point 0.8 went up to 300 for an annual salary, they were getting paid almost a penny a day. Now, when you go here and it says a measure, I heard a voice, I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts saying, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. This represents a whole entire day's wage just to get one meal. Okay? This represents a whole entire day's wage. Okay? This is hyperinflation. All right? And if you go back and do some research on how they were trimming the coins and adding other metals to the coins to inflate the value of the currency, which caused the hyperinflation and eventually deflation of the currency, to a point to where it reached what we call stagflation, right? That caused starvation and famine and ultimate collapse. It added to the collapse, and that's the same thing that's happening here in America. And I bring this out to say that when people become desperate, when people are no longer able to buy food, right, for the current value, right, and they come offering these things like the microchip, right, and they saying that they're going to pay you for it, what do you think people are going to do? See, this clinical trial is nothing more than a test to see how will people jump on board, being that they're in need, financial need, right, for shelter, for clothing, and for food, right? So that's what this is all about, all right? It's more about trying to see exactly how many people will be invited to accept this new system versus the actual trial in itself. Now, they have something called a UBI. This is a universal basic income. And a universal basic income, after all hell break loose, right? Let's see if I can pull it up. I'll just pull it up in the one online, the one I have on my phone. All right, so when you go to 2nd Ezra's, right? My phone is tripping. Hopefully it don't cut out on me. All right, well, when you go to 2nd Ezra's, oh, that's crazy. Give me 1 second. I don't know. Oh, here it is. No, that's 1st Ezra's. Okay, here we go. Now it's bringing it out. My phone is tripping, Salakia. It's still tripping. Second Ezra's, the 15th chapter, a scripture that we've been bringing out a lot. Okay. All right. So 2nd Ezra's 15, and I think it's around the 15th verse, and it says. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Because the people are going to understand that this political system does not work for them. That's happening right now. Okay, so they're not going to continue to obey these leaders that don't obey the own laws that they set up. Okay, well, you got the Epstein class and, people that are being held accountable for crimes, while the people that are in power are not held accountable for their crimes. Okay, it says, a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. And now we're here to see the oil shortages and airlines shutting down. Eventually, gas prices are going to shut and you're not going to be able to travel. Your travel is going to be greatly restricted. And in a lot of cases, it's not just going to be because they're going to have checkpoints everywhere. That's going to be a factor in it, but it's basically going to be because you just can't get there. You won't have the resources. All right. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, and shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. And that's the point that I wanted to bring out, the lack of bread, going back into Revelation, the 6th chapter, and going into that thick clay. Okay. You're not going to, and then on top of that, the supply chain is being broken down because of the Strait of Hormuz. Then we have a big drought going on. So this place is being hit on all fronts, the political aspect of it, the financial aspect of it, the import and export aspect of it, and the moral aspect of it. Okay. So it's being hit on all of the fundamentals that make America what it is being hit on all fronts. Okay, at the same time. All right. So when this sedition happened, right, these people that are in power are going to offer a solution. Golly, man. This phone is starting to trip again. God damn it. All right. They're going to offer a solution. And that solution is Revelation 13 and 16. Okay? Because when you don't have access to food, and you don't have access to shelter, and you don't have access to bare necessities in life, okay, what do you think people are going to do? Huh? And they offer a solution. Hey, you can eat. Hey, you can have your life, a remnant of your life back again. Just take this. These things will work. All right. And verse 13 and 16, it says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or forehead, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay, so there is going to be a time that's coming very soon. In order for you to participate in this society, you're going to have the brand of the wicked one. Okay, and when you go into that word causeth, all right, it means to make. Okay. And it's going to be indirect force. If you know what I mean by that, that means that, hey, you can eat if you take it. If you don't take it, you won't eat. And if you do take it and you don't obey, we're going to punish you. And that word is kragma. Okay. And it says a stamp or imprinted. That's the mark. I want the word make. We know what the word, we went into that many times. It's like it causes. I'm tripping. Causes. And it's paeo, okay? And paeo, it goes into make, okay? With the names of things made to produce, construct, form, fashion, okay? To be the authors of the cause. To be authors of the cause, which means that they're creating the circumstance in which you're going to have this in order to participate in society. All right. Now, when they come out with that UBI, that universal basic income, because there's no jobs, how many people you think are going to go flock to that? How many people you think are going to say, yeah, I'll take a chip in my brain? Like we went over in camp the other day. Most of these people already have the chip. They just haven't gotten the physical version of it yet. They're already plugged into the society. Okay. So, you know, you may have some people out there, and this could also be a promotion. This could have been part of her, her pay is to promote this on the internet so that other people will want to participate in these studies. I mean, you got to understand that the scriptures talk about how we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, which means that we know that this devil is going to do some shit like this. You understand? So I just wanted to do a quick lesson on that. I pray you brothers was edified. I'm ended off by giving all praises going on to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Krakodash. Until next time, I say shalom.